Why, hello everyone. Good to see you. Paul Trani here. I'm going to dive into today's daily creative challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's all about painting with light and shadow. So it's going to be awesome. I'm so glad that you guys are here, and yeah, so this is going to be good. Let me just kind of dive into this, and just to kind of recap, we're going to do some custom lighting effects for photographs using brushes, layers, and blend modes. So to show you those files, let's actually just click over. You can go to behance.net/challenge/Photoshop. You could also go out to Discord as part of the Photoshop Discord channel there as well. So that's that. There's a lot to do. Again, creative challenge, that's where it will be. Grab this file and let's get started. Let's have some fun. Hopefully this day is treating you right. This is what the file looks like. Just open it up and we can create some light and shadow. Okay, so this is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously it already has light and shadow with it, but we're going to have some fun with this image as well. So you can see that's the size. And to be honest with you, first thing I want to do is extract the background from the image. So we'll go to properties right over here. Let's just click remove background. Okay, so we'll do that. Magic, there it is. You know, this is the perfect image to do this. Of course, it's a statue. It doesn't have a lot of issues with it. But you could always jump in, and if you double click on that layer mask, you can refine it using the refine edge tool as well. Okay, so just double click on that mask and that will bring up select and mask. All right, so that's done. We now need to give it a background. Excuse me. If you know me, chances are I'm going to want to use a gradient, okay, because I think it's just fun to play with gradients and it's so easy. Right, so let's just create a new layer by hitting the plus button right down here, clicking there, and then we can kind of click through sort of all these gradients. But let's put it behind that statue, and now we can start to see kind of what we're getting right in here. If you don't have all of these, not to worry. You can always go to the legacy gradients, and that's where you find them. By the way, it's actually set to radial gradient. You could also set it to linear. So again, that's how we can kind of initially kind of give it some light or just some life, okay? And just play with whether you want it linear or radial. It could always happen after the fact. Just giving it a little bit of punch just for fun. Maybe we'll go with the sunrise color because that will be pretty cool. All right. Now let's kind of paint with some light and shadow. And by the way, you can always go back in here, usually down at the bottom, you'll see a number of sort of other gradients in here. But let's create a new layer. Okay, so right over here, we're going to create a new layer. We're going to click this plus sign. Here's our new layer. So this is where we could paint with lights. We can have a new layer that's going to have darks, right? And we're going to talk about sort of why you'd use one over the other. Okay, so let's just start with the darks layer. Okay, I have black right over here. I can change to my brush tool right up here at the top. You could always, I love the fact that you could reset this tool, because that's what I always want to do, is just kind of reset it to its initial settings. But usually I'm using these top ones right up here. So soft round. Also, soft round, pressure, and opacity if you happen to have, you know, a Cintiq. Sorry, I've been talking about that so much, but I'm just happy that that I have that ability to, you know, that I have one finally. All right, so I could paint in darks. You're like, oh, I'll start painting with darks. Oh, that doesn't quite work. Look at how dark that is. Oh, that's where blend modes come into play. Okay, so we could change this to darken, lighten, and then we can get into sort of these overlays and soft light right on down the line. So I just kind of see how that interacts, how all those blend modes interact with it. So I can maybe go with, say, overlay or soft light. Okay, but I'm going to delete everything there, and I'm just going to now start painting with, soft light. And in this case, I'm actually going to change this to soft round pressure, opacity, and flow. Oh, soft round pressure, opacity. All right, so let me show you what the difference is. Okay, let me just change this back to normal. Here's where we have just painting. It's 100% black, okay? We want to simulate the buildup of a pen. We'll go up here to the top. We'll change the flow down to like 20, 15% would even be good, right? Just something nice and light. Now what happens is it starts to build up to 100%. So this is gonna make it easier, right? As I start adding some darks in here to some of these certain spots, right? I can add that like so. What's the first problem you notice? Paul doesn't know how to color within the lines. You're exactly right. Guess what? Photoshop has that taken care of for us. So for this darks, I can right click and I can create a clipping mask, okay? And it will go ahead and clip it just like so. Another way to do this is just to hold down the Option key or the Alt key if you're on a PC. Hold down the Option key on a Mac and then clip it. Now I'm gonna stay within the lines regardless of kind of like where I paint, right? So I can start to kind of add darks in places. You know, that works out pretty well. Now I'm gonna change the blend mode back to say overlay or soft light, and you can see how I can make it much darker down here and really control those shadows, right? So I'm just kind of painting in the darks right now. Okay, painting in the darks, painting in the darks. Now I want to paint in the lights. So the same thing, we're gonna clip it. Bam, just like that, holding down that Option key. Switching the foreground color to white. Okay, and then painting. Now remember, it's just painting with 100% white, so it looks really shiny there until I change this to say overlay or soft light. It's really up to you. Maybe for this one I'll do overlay, because I can make these kind of, this strap kind of pop even a little bit more as I kind of go through this. So I'm kind of painting with lights, highlighting the face, right? Highlighting kind of the upper part a little bit more than the lower part of this statue, just trying to build in some drama, okay? So that's how you that's your initial step for sort of bringing something to life and adding more drama to it, okay? It's just switching between the darks and the lights like I'm doing right now. But there's more we can do, because we could actually do the same thing with adjustment layers right down here. Let's do that same thing, but this time I'm going to use, say, levels or curves. All of these are going to control sort of the lights and the darks. It doesn't play with the color at all, okay? But we can go into curves, just like so. And what do we get if I crank this up and crank it down? Right? It's affecting everything, okay? Including the background. So that same process, let's clip it. Whoop-ah! Just like that. And now you can see it's just affecting the shadow, right? But now we can add some more drama to this. Like we can really crank this up and crank this down and make this look like electric, which I just think that makes it look cool, you know? But really, as I make this look electric, the parts that I like the best are like these parts where there's color. Those are the parts I like. I'm not crazy about this gray. Well, guess what? We can remove that. So we'll go to our curves, because our curves happens to have a layer mask. The same way this layer mask was generated, we now have this layer mask. So, still using our brush, jumping in there, painting with black, we can start to remove those grays. Okay, and that's all I'm doing, is slowly building it up. And I could also just use my Wacom, increase the flow. Like that, just like that. Painting that, painting, say, this area right here. Right, not to worry if you ever paint somewhere where you actually need to bring back that portion, just like I did with the eye. Hit the X key. The X key is gonna flip these two colors, right? Because you're always painting with either black or white. So we'll flip that back. We'll paint with white right there, just like so. And again, we can kind of, and again, I can toggle this on and off to see what I want. Because maybe right down here, again, I want to paint with black to kind of remove that and make that look darker. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, right? We're slowly painting this, adding in this lovely contrast, which I just like looks fantastic. It's all done with curves, okay? And still the great thing is you can jump in and adjust it. That's what makes using adjustment layers much more powerful, okay? So now that I know that, like I could instead of using lights and dark layers, I can actually have like, maybe I have let's just go with brightness and contrast since this is a daily creative challenge, right? I can clip this, and this, instead of having these lights and darks, I can actually play with this brightness and contrast. So the reason I'm playing with this is I'm not painting with black, but I'm letting the blacks of this image kind of come through. So I can crank that all the way down. So this brightness and contrast should actually be known as our darks, when in actuality it's our brights, a brightness contrast layer. Brightness contrast. You guys get the idea. Okay, that's all it really is, but I'm kind of treating just the darks. I made everything dark. Like I said before, hey, we don't want to make everything dark. So we paint with a brush. Come in here, just make sure black is in the foreground, right? And that's how I would typically do my darks. Paint your darks that way, right? You could see what I did right over here. And again, we could have another layer as well. We could do the same thing, right? Level, oh, excuse me. Oh, let's do levels. Let's have fun. Levels, right? Levels looks a little bit different. This is an adjustment layer. Let's clip it. Shabam. Let's crank this. Ready for this? Let's zoom out. Crank it this way. Take the lights and say, hey, you know what? Grab more light. Grab more light. Like that. Crank that up. Right? But again, it's still maybe too bright for everything. So again, we'll just hit B for brush, and we'll just make sure we remove, and let's crank up the flow, you know, those areas that maybe are just like too, we don't want to get rid of all of our darks, right? We just spent all that time painting it. But there we have sort of the brights, making them pop, bam, making the darks pop, right? Controlling sort of the in-between tones right there with the curves. And we could always still sort of bring back those lights and darks, right? But that's what we're doing. We're going to throw that in there. We're also going to paint with color as well. Oops, sorry about that. So let's paint with light as well. So let's just do some fun sparkly things out here. This is really cool, okay? So we'll still use our brush, okay? Let's just do like, you know, we could even do a hard round. Okay, so let's just do a hard round. We're going to add our own little sparkles in here because we want this to look magical, right? So we'll come in here. We'll make sure the flow is up to 100%, and then we can click and make a sparkle and make a sparkle and make a sparkle, right? And we can adjust. The hardness is actually cranked all the way up, even though it looks like it isn't. But I'm just adding some of these like little white dots around here that we'll play with in a second, right? So add those little dots, bam, bam, bam. Lovely sparkles that are gonna emit light. Okay, so this is what I would do. It's like I want them to emit that warm glow. We'll call this layer sparkles. Our sparkles layer, so let's double click on that layer. Da-da. Now we can go with the layer style. So within the layer style, we can say, hey, you know what? Give it a lovely outer glow, okay? That lovely outer glow is gonna be sampled from whatever background you chose. So in this case, we're just picking that lovely yellow, and we can see it just like start to vibrate, right? And again, we could crank up the size, the spread, okay, and really see that, bring that color out. This is what I would do. You could actually add multiple, right? So we could take this, outer glow looks pretty good. We could add a drop shadow, But rather than treating a drop shadow like a typical drop shadow, ooh, geez. It's okay if you exit out of that. It's in here. Just double click. Drop shadow, you know, just to kind of show you. It's typically like offset like that. That looks like a drop shadow. We just change that distance to 0 and it's essentially like an outer glow. So now I can just, again, I would probably change this to the gold color. And then the outer glow, I would probably change to something more like dip into the oranges, like that. So I'm just trying to get like a mix of colors is all. Okay, so we had some fun glows there. That works out just fine, right? And now we could really see the fun of this because we can start painting with it. So as I click, I'm creating these cool, these cool little like sparkles, right? We can make a larger one. I'm just using my open bracket, closing bracket, right? Creating those like that. Cool. All right, let's play some more with blend modes and some more with changing the overall color tone. So let's have fun with this. I really want to play with this color a lot, okay? The color of this. So let's go down here. We've used these. Brightness, levels, curves, exposure. Let's get into these fun ones. There's hue and saturation. So I can select hue and saturation. I could crank that up and you can see what's happening. It's like, of course, making everything more saturated. So that actually might work, right? Because I'm just making these colors pop a little right in there, right? So before, after, it's really subtle, just like that. Let's add some more as we go down in here. We could go into gradient map. So you ready for this? So we can make it black and white, but we can go into gradient map and say, hey, you know what? Map all of those dark colors to say black, but map the midtones to blue. That's kind of cool. Let's go into that. Not only map those midtones to blue, take the highlights and map those highlights to more of a yellow to match the background. I get it. It's pretty electric, but hey, we're just playing around. Hey, why not? There we are. We have our electric lady. Okay. Really changes the look, right? So I would play with this, right? Just play with it. Just have some fun. And now you can say, hey, if you want to just keep the darks of this gradient map, so you're going to keep more of those blues, and even if this wasn't black, if this was even more of a blue right down here, we can change the blend mode. So let's play with the blend modes right in here. It's like, hey, you know what? Just keep those dark colors, right? So this first section is keeping all your lovely dark colors. This one's going to keep all your lighter colors, so all your yellows. Okay, so let's, again, clip it. I really apologize. I feel like I'm going really fast, but I have two voices in my head. One is the beginner and one is somebody that's more advanced. But right in here, it's like, okay, let's go to darken. So it's just keeping the blues. We can see what's happening mostly, or the darker colors. And then we can get into lighten, and it's keeping those lighter colors. And then you can get into sort of these additional overlay, soft light colors. But look at how amazing it makes this look. Like, just the different looks you get, just like, it makes it just, in my opinion, just like so fun. I have a blast here, okay? Look at that. Come on now, explore, have fun with this. This is just a lot of fun to work with. Hue, it's actually taking the hue, but it's not making it darker or lighter. So that's pretty cool. So as you select any one of these, you can always turn it on or off. You can see it's like shifting that hue to my gradient map on down the line. Take the color, luminosity. Even that luminosity is not bad. I think my winners usually are kind of like up here, like overlay, soft light. You know, that's what I'll go with. Okay. There, that is. Again, we're just painting with kind of like light basically, and playing with blend modes on this, okay? Another easy way to understand blend modes is just add a new layer and then just go to your gradients. Pick one, say this green one, and then change the blend mode. Now we're going to do this over the whole piece. Right? Notice how this changes the look of the whole piece based on the blend mode, right? So again, we're just having fun with this, and we can get more creative with it now as well. Okay. So let's just change this to, let's clip it. We could see that look, which is kind of cool. We could decide to keep parts, some parts and not other parts. So again, just selecting B for brush, go into my hard round brush, and we can remove. So we can kind of come in here and like remove this part down here. Maybe this is just capturing her skin, and I'm keeping the rest. There we go, just removing it like that. Again, just playing around, and you can see what you get. All right, that part's done. We're gonna do the top portion too. This will help give it balance anyway. I'm undecided whether I want to do hair or not, but so we'll just select this little like crown headdress thing first. I'm sure it has a meaning and I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's okay, right? It's okay. And that's again just using this splash of color. Let's grab her hair too, why not? X to flip the colors. There she is. Hey, you know what, Paul? She doesn't look good green. You know, change it. There we have sort of her in some warmer tones, right? So again, I could do this all day long and have many different versions of this would be the plan, all right? Last thing I could do, if you're interested, is, since we're dealing with adjustment layers, go in here and select color lookup. If you know me, I love a good color lookup, because what are these color lookups? It's essentially just a bunch of, oops, sorry. Let's get out of this, cancel. It's a lot of these, gradient fills, gradient maps, a lot of these adjustment layers combined into one. So it's combined into, say, a 2-strip look. So let's select 2-strip. That's what we get for 2-strip look, right? Go down to crisp winter and honestly just have fun with these different blend modes. The goal is to create something as unique as possible by painting on this image, and making something outstanding is the goal, right? Hey, actually the goal isn't even to make something outstanding. The goal is to just have some fun in Photoshop. But this will change the look and actually simulates cameras as well. So, doesn't do that much for it. I kind of like this electricness. Again, I could just kind of duplicate that layer, make 2 versions. I can even come in here and, you know what, let's just delete that layer mask altogether and kind of go back to this version. So have some fun playing with this. You'll probably spend a lot of time just kind of going through all these different looks, trying to find, I don't know, just kind of playing with it many different ways, just like I'm doing. Yeah, let's go with this one. Once you're done, just go ahead and output it. Export for web, right? The size looks good. I think it has to be less than 8 megs, by the way. Right down here, guess what? It's only 131K, which is fantastic. Could still use some painterly looks, but I like that we take sort of an image that's just black and white and just make something looks entirely different. So we're painting with that light and shadow. So we have our before and then our after, right? Quite a difference have fun with that. I'm sure you guys will do something awesome. And thank you guys so much for watching. And don't forget to upload to Discord under challenge, under the current challenge. All right, so right in there, just drag it in. And that's about it. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Feel free to reach out to me through all the social medias and all the stuff. Keep the conversation going also on Discord. So thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys. Thank you.